Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Frums reaction. Today we have one from Joshua the Great, who wanted me to get to Absolute Zero. This is apparently from the compilation album Vignette, which is a bunch of older songs from Frums. And of course, I've always liked Frums songs. I think they're super unique in their general construction and the sound design. Frums is a genius in that field. So of course, I've got to hear more from Frums and more of that genius and sound design. I hope that even though this is an older song in the chronological way of Frums, that the expectations of the sound design quality won't be thrown into the garbage because of that. I hope that that's something that he started with and continued on. But even if it isn't, I'll get to hear a different sound from Frums, which is always really cool as well. So I guess I'll listen to this, and without further ado, let's go! Kind of immediately gave me like Mario 64 soundtrack vibes. It's definitely not doing that so much now that I'm hearing the leads in here, but... Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention that it's one of the few with lyrics, which they did tell me. Although admittedly, it's very hard to hear the lyrics in this mix. So far, it's a little bit more controlled, but I can still hear those like Frums-isms in here for sure. I do actually like the vocal processing. It's just a little bit quiet. There's still some like neat sound design choices in here too. Like those really high chiptune squares in there. Gotta admit, it is weird having vocals in there, but it doesn't take anything away. It definitely adds a different energy to the song. Woo. And like, still obviously plenty of creativity in the time signatures and like very syncopated rhythms throughout. That's something Frums has always had, apparently. I like that snare sample, it's like kind of a clap, but not really. Kind of a neat stack of effects on that one too. Ooh. Ooh, beautiful. Beautiful harmonies here. Really nice chord. The shifting between them is so smooth. It's like even some of those chords that don't like 100% gel with the neighbors, it still sounds really cool in this structure. There's definitely something to be said about that relationship in the melody and harmonies. Is just, even if it's not traditionally working, it definitely can if you're creative enough to make it happen. I also really love the use of pitch bends in here too. a very active experience, just like Frums has always been. Again, apparently, that's always been something that they've chosen to do from the start. I suppose that's probably the end. Gonna have a little bit of an outro. Ooh. These chords here again. But like this synth, that's so thick. That's such a dense collection of samples there. Just like making no room for anything else. It just kind of envelops the entire song on the way out. That's really neat. All right, so I just got back from reading the lyrics. This song is 100% talking about depression, creative depression, like physical depression, whichever one. They're all a little bit different. Every flavor is a little bit different in that field, and you can just tell. I mean, reading the lyrics, they're not hiding it at all. This sounds like you talking to yourself in that state of not knowing what to do next and fighting with that desire to give up versus that little spark in you that's still kind of fluttering around like, I want to do something more. A lot of creatives have been through that. I'm one. Apparently Frums is another. Big shocker that a lot of people who make art have been through some sort of traumatic experience in their lives, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that as well. So I suggest highly, if you haven't read the lyrics to this song, go look them up, go find them, because they are very upfront about the emotional turmoil in this song and what it's supposed to stand for. But I think that adds the extra layer to this song. I was just listening to it because I gave up on the lyrics early, not really being able to understand them, but I was just listening to the music. But now having that relationship to be able to tie everything together, the sound design in this one makes a lot of sense too. There were little moments, it was dense and it was very confusing, but there were little moments of things fluttering and it sounded like thoughts were escaping that weren't all bad. But a lot of the stuff that was going on in here had very smooth transitions. So you're like, okay, maybe that's the brain kind of trying to come to terms with itself and understand itself and, you know, getting over those sorts of situations, or at least battling for a better you, whether that's through therapy, which it should be, or through other means, which it shouldn't be. There's a lot going on in this song, and again, the lyrics reflect a lot of that, and you can probably read some of them very metaphorically, maybe some much more literal than others, but still, there's definitely a lot of weight to this message overall, so I definitely recommend doing that. But again, the sound design in this one, there's little Frums-isms that just apparently have been there since the beginning. This playing around with the time signature stuff and adding syncopation basically everywhere, but it's still a consistent, steady rhythm, and this song has a lot of that, just like all the other ones that Frums has done that I've listened to. And it's those little nuggets of sound design where it's like, okay, there's extra details and again, extra little flutters and accents that kind of escape the song, and that you're always wondering what else could be introduced to make it sound more dense or more empty, depending on what the song is trying to convey. And I think, again, at the end there, all of that tension was kind of coming to the full weight and it was just pressing down. But also I think that that was more of a pressure of like ending the conversation that the lyrics were having rather than anything else. Like when I was first listening to it, I assumed that that ending pressure that was being added was like life finally getting to them and things being done. Like that's the image I was getting from the song. The story was telling me something a little bit different. I was getting somewhere in the ballpark, as I tend to, but I wasn't getting the full picture until I read the lyrics. So now I'm imagining that ending bit is the pressure, but it's more of like closing the shutters on the situation because you've made a decision and you are firm in that choice. And that's a lot better of a solution and an answer than I was giving myself by just listening to the music alone without the context of the lyrics. And it also adds a little bit of context to the title as well, Absolute Zero. This might have been their absolute zero, their final point, their very lowest emotional turn. There's a lot of potential in that comparison. I don't know if it's accurate, obviously. It could be anything else. There was also mention of ice in the lyrics too, so it's like that could be the reference there, but I would not be surprised at all if Absolute Zero is like supposed to reflect their lowest possible point, their absolute zero emotionally, physically, whatever was holding them down truly, because there, again, is a lot of wiggle room in those lyrics. You can read a lot of them metaphorically, but some much more literal than others. And I don't know which one this is, but I think that it's a pretty good guess to say absolute zero is supposed to be the emotional state here. But in the more broad scope, I think that this song is cool to hear because you get to hear those differences in the production style of Frums from their early work, like this song, to their more recent stuff. You can definitely tell he's obviously improved and learned and honed his craft over time, but at the same time, there are definitely those things that he's always kind of thrown in that you're just like, oh yeah, there he is, I see him in this song. But again, the technical aspect of it, being able to balance all those levels and layers a lot better, is definitely more refined these days. So it's always neat for me to be able to listen to these older songs from producers that I've heard more recent stuff of, and also just starting with the oldest possible song being the first one I hear, and then hearing what they're making now is the same kind of relationship. It's like watching your child grow up and you're just like, oh, I'm so proud of you, you know. So getting to hear this and getting that little window into who Frums was back when they were making a song like this is really cool, and it adds that extra context to the rest of their work, including their current stuff. Even if this was technically years before any of that, I'm not sure how long ago this would have been made before the new stuff, but still, it adds that context, and that's always really neat to me. But I have been yapping about this a while, so I will call it here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to get to another song from Frums, leave in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you want to guarantee something, much like Joshua did for this one, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships where you can guarantee that I listen to something. It doesn't matter who it's by, what it's from, if it's good, bad, none of that matters. That's why it's a guaranteed request. But if you don't want to do any of that and maybe you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!